Good morning, Metalheads here, and welcome to a new episode of the Metal Meltdown. And today we are looking at the latest album from Rings of Saturn, entitled Gidim. This is the fifth studio album from Rings of Saturn, and if you've followed the band at all, then you're probably already somewhat aware of the band's incredibly eclectic and over-the-top fusion of sci-fi, tech death, and deathcore. Which means you're also to an extent aware of some of the controversy the band has faced in regards to how they execute that fusion. Their style has been generally criticized as being very flashy, very ridiculous, all sizzle, no steak, yada yada yada. But I think the big controversies really started when we got a little bit of insight as to how Rings of Saturn records their records and writes their music. For instance, when Lugal Kien dropped their third studio album, it was revealed that it was pretty common for Rings of Saturn to actually record their music at half the normal speed and then finish it up in the editing process. To put it very simply, they'd take a riff like this, for instance, and in the editing room they'd speed it up to this. This was a deal breaker for a lot of people, and it's pretty easy to see why. I mean, it directly implies that the band is not capable of performing their own music. Something that at one point was echoed by a member of Rings of Saturn himself, Mr. Joe Omans, who later, after the release of Lugal Kien, left the band and went as far as to call Lucas Mann, the ringleader of this whole thing, a hack of a musician. Now, it's worth noting that as of this recording, Joel is once again a member of Rings of Saturn. In fact, he even performs on this record. But on that same token, it's also worth noting that the band has gone through 16 members in a relatively short amount of time. None of these people have spoken publicly about it, at least not to my knowledge. None of them have echoed the sentiments of Joel at the time. But really think about it. 16 people in one band in the span of like 9 years. That's not normal. There's something going on there. On top of that, as the Rings of Saturn fanbase has grown up, I think that the music has lost a little bit of its luster to some people, myself included. There was a time when I appreciated the insanity and zaniness of Rings of Saturn. I even still own their first two albums on vinyl, but from Lugal Kien onwards, they've really lost my attention. I've simply grown up and gotten interested in other styles of music, to put it very bluntly. Something as inherently silly and zany as Rings of Saturn just doesn't really do a whole lot for me anymore, and from the outside looking in, just kind of looks like a bunch of guys whittling on their fucking instruments. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure they're having fun. I'm sure they're still enjoying some success if they're still around, despite all of this controversy, but I made it very clear when they released their last record that they would have to make some drastic changes if they wanted me to stay interested. And they clearly did not get the memo, because Gidim is nothing more than a continuation of everything that I've come to dislike about Rings of Saturn's presentation and approach to songwriting. It relies on the same tired song structures, the same tired themes, the same overabundance of wildly technical, flashy guitar solos and whittling. And unfortunately, Gidim doesn't even have the benefit of sounding so insane that it eventually becomes inherently somewhat interesting. In fact, if anything, I'm extremely bored through a good chunk of this record, as songs bleed together into one zany, riff-covered fucking mess. And this is all without mentioning the plagiarism accusations that has been thrown the band's way from the likes of We Are the End and a YouTube user by the name of Black Metal. Ultimately culminating in not just the most boring record from Rings of Saturn, but also their laziest. There is not a single fresh element on this record whatsoever. The record is so predictable and formulaic that by the time you even finish the first fucking song, you already know exactly how the rest of the record is going to play out, even if you've never listened to Rings of Saturn ever before. It doesn't matter how much gourmet frosting the band throws on top of this, it doesn't change the fact that this is a cake made in a fucking easy bake oven. Endless piles of monotonous open-tab riffs, endless piles of monotonous open-tab breakdowns that exist only to create fake atmosphere, fake tension, as well as give a little bit of room for the wildly eccentric and colorful guitar solos, which at this point are about as entertaining as watching a fish flop up on a deck, wiggle around, and die. incomprehensible lyrics and themes with no message, no subject matter whatsoever, quite literally pure sci-fi mumbo-jumbo pulled straight from Star Trek and pumped with pure fucking cocaine. Even though nothing ever lines up, I would still like to give credit to the band for their incredibly technical performances, and with any other band I probably would, but I can't really do that here because I'm actually not really sure if they even really played this. Mann and Rings of Saturn have given me no reason to believe that they aren't doing an incredible amount of editing behind the scenes. They've given me no reason to believe that they're actually performing this material in the studio as it is shown to us. For all I know, they are quite literally playing a single note at a time and then just stitching it together like a fucking quilt. And before someone goes, "Oh, well, they did a guitar playthrough video, that proves it," honestly, they could have just done that so that you would say that, so that you would defend them. There are some guest guitarists on the record that attempt to liven things up with their own contributions, their own influences, their own spices, but most of the time it just kind of bleeds in with the regular Rings of Saturn shtick. With the exception of third track Hypodermis Glitch, which actually evolves into a pretty interesting barrage of prog metal savagery in its final moments. And I'll also give some credit to tracks like Bloated and Stiff and Face of the Wormhole, which do have some brief breaks of piano and acoustic guitars and synthesizers that do genuinely provide a little bit of atmosphere. Mind you, it's completely wasted as the band almost immediately jumps back into their regular nonsense after these moments, but at least it's something to detract from the endless pile of sci-fi metal gibberish. I'm sure a lot of you want me to talk about the plagiarism accusations surrounding the band regarding their song Husk, regarding We Are the End. Honestly, I don't see the point. I feel like other users have tackled that pretty well at this point. The aforementioned black metal comes to mind. The only thing I really have to contribute to this conversation is, honestly, I'm not shocked. Mann is on record of being called a hack of a musician, and everyone knows about Rings of Saturn's half-speed fiasco. I am not shocked at all that Rings of Saturn would steal from a younger, lesser-known band. What's more shocking to me is that Nuclear Blast Records have effectively censored the user black metal in his attempts to clarify the situation. I wish I had more to tell you about this album, but honestly, there's nothing I can tell you about it that you either A, don't already know from listening to the first song, or B, don't already know just from already knowing Rings of Saturn. They're not known for being unpredictable, they're not known for being the most progressive songwriters or the most honest songwriters for that matter. They are known for being hacks, quite literally. They are known for playing zany, over-the-top, wildly eccentric, borderline, random sci-fi metal, and that is exactly what we get on Gidim. I'm ultimately going to give this a 1 out of 5. This album is terrible. This album is lazy. This album is repetitive. This album does not have a single unique bone in its entire fucking body. There's not a single complete song on here that I would consider entertaining, even ironically. And even if there was, I'd still feel a little bit shitty trying to recommend this to somebody, given all the shitty fucking tactics that Mann consistently employs in his music. As I've said before, I've no reason to believe that they actually played a single fucking note of this record in the fucking studio. If you're a diehard Rings of Saturn fan, then I don't see any reason why you still wouldn't enjoy this record. All I really have to say to you at this point is if you're still seriously looking for this style, if this sound is exactly what you're looking for, then go look at any number of bands from the Artisan era, because they're playing pretty much the same kind of guitar, pyrotechnic, tech death nonsense, but they're doing it with a hell of a lot more integrity and honesty than Rings of Saturn could even fucking imagine, let alone muster. I see absolutely no reason to be on the lookout for more Rings of Saturn in the future unless they make a seriously drastic fucking change, but considering this is album number 5, I don't really see that happening. They're clearly happy with where they are, or at the very least, clearly not interested in listening to anybody. So fuck it. You guys do you. I'll go be me. End of fucking story. I'll sleep just fine at night, I promise you. 1 out of 5. Terrible. Thankfully, it's the last Rings of Saturn record I'll ever have to listen to again. And that is it for the Metal Meltdown. I'm not an expert, nor do I claim to be, so what do you think? Do you like this record? Do you not like this record? And what do you want to hear from me next? And thank you for watching. Make sure you press subscribe so you get updates on the Metal Meltdown fucking immediately. And you have yourself a fantastic fucking day.